It was difficult to leave home, to leave your family, your brother, and people important around you, and people especially you love.
For years, the number of migrants crossing the channel in small boats has steadily increased.
No. We are waiting for something. No, we don't need help. Thank you very much.
In 2021, there were record numbers of migrants crossing on a single day.
In Sudan, Darfur.
But why do they come? How do they come? And how should the UK handle immigration?
For those fleeing persecution and crippling poverty, the UK is an attractive place to live. Citizens of some countries face persecution for their religion, ethnicity, beliefs, and sexual orientation. And now the world's worsening climate conditions are making some areas uninhabitable. As a result, increasing numbers of people have sought to migrate to the UK in search of a better life. There are different types of migration. As the UK continues to grow its economy, there are numerous jobs where migrants are needed, and for this, work visas can be used.
From the time you decide you need new specialist doctors, it takes a minimum of 10, sometimes 15 years to really train them. These doctors come already trained in terms of monetary value. That's very cheap.
Companies in the UK can legally sponsor individuals, provided they demonstrate that they are unable to find British citizens who can do the same work.
However, it can be expensive and time-consuming.
Together.
Juntos.
Visas are also granted for students who come to the UK. Then there are asylum seekers, those fleeing persecution, war, or adverse conditions caused by climate change. Under the UN Refugee Convention, countries have an obligation to allow asylum seekers to stay in the UK for the duration of an asylum claim.
And they have a duty to process that claim. If these claims are successful, asylum seekers can go on to live in the UK with a pathway to future citizenship 10 years later.
The UK actually registers fewer first-time asylum applicants than many other EU countries. In 2020, for instance, the highest number of first-time asylum applicants was registered in Germany, followed then by Spain, France, and Greece. Contrast all of that with the UK.
Sure, we got a warrant. Could you open the door, please?
Anyone who is not in the process of seeking asylum or does not have a work or student visa will be entering the UK illegally.
It is difficult to know how many people have successfully entered the UK and are living illegally due to them not having any records, although one estimate puts the numbers between 800,000 and 1.2 million. With the knowledge that some countries are less hostile to migrants than others, both in attitudes and benefits, many prefer to continue onwards to their preferred destinations.
This has created tension between the UK and France, who the UK government believes should be responsible for processing asylum seekers attempting to cross the Channel.
This problem has become more acute in recent years, as the number of people crossing the Channel in small boats has increased rapidly. In 2018, just 286 people made the journey, but by 2020, nearly 8,500 attempted it, and in 2021, over 10,000 had tried in the first 6 months.
Every year it's increased dramatically. I mean, 3 years ago, when we first started to sort of come across these small boats coming across the Channel, there would just be the odd one here and there. Whereas now, every flat calm day, you can guarantee that there's going to be a large number of migrant dinghies coming across. They're regular as clockwork now.
In an attempt to take control of the situation, Home Secretary Priti Patel signed a £54 million deal with France so they could increase policing on their side of the border.
Alors, le but de la mission, c'est d'intercepter toute tentative de départ avant qu'elle prenne la mer.
But this has been criticised within the UK for not being good value for money.
We've given them €31.5 million last year, and you're now about to give them another £54 million to do the same thing. Why will it be different this time? The French are not doing their part.
All of this also detracts from the fact that people who cross in the boats usually want to be rescued and go on to claim asylum, and don't actually make up the majority of illegal immigration.
The least common route is clandestine entry. So for instance, coming across the English Channel in a small boat. We hear a lot about that, but that's pretty uncommon. It's more likely that people become undocumented or have an irregular migration status because they came to the UK legally, perhaps on a visa, and then overstayed the length of that visa.
Most migrants enter Europe from 3 points: Greece, Italy and Spain. In 2019, there were about 60,000 arrivals to Greece, 11,500 to Italy and 26,000 arrivals to Spain. The majority stay in those 3 countries, but some move on throughout Europe, eventually reaching France. Those who come to the UK from the English Channel tend to have made journeys from halfway across the world. Iranians make up 51% of migrants crossing the Channel, and Iraq second most, with 26%. According to the Home Office, the next most represented nations are Syria, Afghanistan, Yemen and Sudan. Asylum seekers are typically placed into government care for the duration of their claims. These can be hotels, temporary accommodation or bespoke asylum centres.
It can take a while, with one 2021 Refugee Council report claiming that the average wait time is between 1 and 3 years.
And there have been frequent criticisms of the standard of care for those who arrive, with reports of people being given inadequate food and being denied essentials such as shoes. All that before their legal status, which can leave them without ability to earn money for years.
People who don't have access to council housing or homelessness assistance, and in some cases aren't legally allowed so they got paid employment. People in that situation will become what is called destitute. It means that local authorities, like children's services, will often have to provide support. But it's a direct consequence of restrictive policies aimed to prevent undocumented migration, but actually catches people in destitution and actually increases costs to government. It just changes it from central government to local government.
Migration continues to be a live political issue for the UK, as it does across Europe, even post-Brexit, for which it was a major issue. But views have softened slightly since the vote, as both Leavers and Remainers both view the impact of immigration on the UK economy a little less negatively on average than they did before. But as global Britain seeks to assert itself on the world stage, it's likely the debate around immigration won't be going away anytime soon.